Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. The world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today, on this Flag Day, we are talking about prenatal and postpartum care for dads. June is Men's Health Month, and we have Father's Day just right around the corner. It's coming up this Sunday. And so, my special guest is a doula, and amongst other things, but she has some great information for the dads, especially the new dads or the dads with newborns. And so Miss Sharea Jenkins is my special guest. But before I bring her on, I want to hear from you. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network on RokuTV. So I need you all in the comments to let us know where you are tuning in from, and tag a friend and let them know they want to be on here, because I bet you're going to learn something new tonight that you had no clue about. So tag your brothers, your cousins, your uncles, even your aunties and your sisters, all of them. Everybody need to be on here. All right, everybody needs to be on here, because Miss Jenkins got some good information for y'all. Okay, but we're just gonna have us a great time having a conversation. So I see some of you chiming in. Miss Pumpkin here from Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you for being here. My mom is in the house down in Miami. Thank you for being here, Ma. I appreciate you. So I'm gonna go ahead and read some of her bio, and then I'm gonna bring her on. So she is a certified birth doula, and we're gonna find out what a doula does. For over 5 years, and she's assisted in bringing 171 and counting. It's probably been more since she sent me this bio, but 171 babies into the world. In the Tallahassee and surrounding area. She's also a CLC, assisting women with nursing and preparing them for transitions back to work or school. While not attending a birth, she also worked as a birth attendant with a local midwife and was the birth instructor at a local hospital here in Tallahassee. Along with mother support, a huge part of her calling is engaging with fathers to prepare them for labor and delivery, postpartum, and breastfeeding through one on one sessions and group sessions. She is a mother of two of her own teenagers, and she can remember vividly her birthing experience and how it shaped her as a proud mother. And she's very concerned about shifting the narrative of our maternal health, especially in the Black family. And it's not only her passion, but also her ministry. And Supporting Hands Doula Care is the name of her business. So y'all help me welcome Sharea Jenkins.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Pleasure. Thank you for being here. So tell the people, who is Sharea? Not what you do, but who are you?
Let's see. First and foremost, I am a woman of God, a woman of faith. So
Mhm.
that is my drive behind all of the things that I do. I am a woman of purpose. I've even since a child been just passionate about our people and our family structure. Um, Outgoing, enthusiast. I'm always up for a conversation. All of the things, a continuous learner. I would say that is me, Sharea, the person.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, wonderful. And tell us a little bit about your business.
Yes. So, Supporting Hands Doula Care, that is my business. I started that 5.5 years ago, and it stemmed from the birth of my son, actually almost 15 years ago. And, fast forwarding to, 5.5 years ago, that for me to become a doula here. And I hopped on that, became certified, and was like, I want to make a business out of this. I'm a single mother. And, it was a way for me to have income, but be able to reach families and interact with mothers in an intimate setting. And it was something that I just had the grace for. And it just blossomed into what it is now.
Nice, 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 nice. Okay, very good. I see Lanisha Thornton, who's here in Tallahassee. Miss Running Buzz is on with us. Thank you for being here. And so, for those of us who may not know what a doula is and does, tell us about what a doula is, or what they do, what are some of the jobs or responsibilities of doula work.
Hmm. So, despite the trend of you may hear, doulas, we've been around for a very, very long time. Especially in the Black community, it just probably wasn't under the official name. But doulas, we help with prenatal support, continuous labor and delivery support, and that's not just home births. That's also with hospital births. That's also with elective or emergency C sections. And we also help with immediate postpartum, and then postpartum up to 2 to 3 years with mothers and with families, and then also with lactation if they have that skill as well. So that's like the high level of it. But I mean, it's prenatal visits at the home or virtually. It is like that one-to-one support of walking the mother and a family through the challenges and the issues and the questions that they will have during labor, and before they go into labor, helping them build their birthing plans, how to
Mhm.
prepare for labor and delivery, how long it could be, going through pain management techniques, and building the encouragement and the confidence of the man to be able to help her and to support the family during labor and delivery.
Indeed, which is what we are going to talk about this evening. So thank you for sharing that. How many of you viewers are familiar with doulas? I think Lanisha is saying yes, supporting two of the greatest. So she is familiar with you. Yes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
my sister.
Mhm. Mhm. All right. And so, how many of you are familiar with doulas? Just in the comments, if you will, give us a thumbs up or wave your hand, or something like that. I see you, Alonza. Thank you for being here. And attorney Felicia Thomas is on with us as well. All right. Felicia said, I am. Very good. Trinetta Wilson said, yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Marjorie. Okay. Thank you for being here, Marjorie. She said, yes, she is. All right. So a few people are familiar with doulas and what they do. That's good.
Definitely.
Indeed. All right. So tonight is all about the dads, right?
Yes.
Prenatal and postpartum care for dads. So what I mean, why would a dad need some prenatal care?
Why wouldn't a dad need prenatal care? I think is the question. Early on, what I realized during the prenatal visits is that usually men are very nervous,
Mhm,
coming in, whether it's their first child or their fifth child,
mhm,
on how to support, what that dynamic is going to look like. What do they do? I hear so many times, well, I don't want to be in the way, and I say, hey, I'm not here to replace you, but I'm here to tag team with you and to support you in supporting her, because this is your family, right? So the end goal for me is to build those strongholds together so that they're stronger when I leave. You know,
Mhm.
so it's during the prenatal time, you're helping with, of course, pain management. So you're doing a lot of hands-on with massaging techniques, or helping to coach him on the things to say during labor and some of the things not to say during labor. How to be sensitive and attentive during labor and delivery, and to be supportive. And that support is not necessarily just in the hospital room or during the labor itself, but it could be supportive, with family or with his family, or against his family, you
Mhm.
know. So a lot goes into supporting the men during prenatal.
Okay. So I've heard men talk about them feeling like they're pregnant during the pregnancy.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they have those symptoms. I think they could be ghost symptoms, but I think it is definitely because when you're a unit and you're so strongly attached to a woman, you feel, what she feels. I
Mm-hmm.
just think that men feel it differently, though. As a woman, we are the ones carrying in our wombs these precious babies. Men are mentally carrying that weight. So they're mentally thinking, how to provide, what do I need to do? How do we get things ready? So it's just that they're carrying the load in a different way. So it's like helping them to have the conversation to release that, because a lot of times it can come off as they're disconnected, but they're really just processing in a different way.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, good deal. I did bring up Nicole. Thank you for being here. She said yes, she is familiar, and Patricia Day as well. Thank you, Patricia, for being here. And we got Miss Kiosha on with us here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here, Kiosha. So, you talked about them feeling it in a different way, and so you mentioned like there's some coaching that maybe you give them about around things to say and what not to say, and different ways that you support them in the prenatal. How important are like classes uh for the couple or for the dad and the mom in preparation for delivery?
I think they're extremely important. I say it all the time that having a baby shower is beautiful and that's great.
Hmm.
Um, but that doesn't necessarily prepare you as much as it could for the real deal, of what's going to happen during labor and delivery. And what
Hmm.
I found just in my experience with interactions with men is that hands-on classes are more effective than virtual classes. Just to be honest, it's kind of like I'm listening to a lot of women talking about a lot of stuff, and it's not really retained unless it's like tangible. And not to say that, of course, there's not some men that don't retain it that way, but it's more effective when they can feel it in practice. So finding a prenatal class that gives them the hands-on experience is what I found to be really beneficial for the dads.
Okay, very good. So dads who are out there, definitely take advantage of those classes in your community because, I think that's gonna help you be more comfortable, when you get into the actual delivery.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
to
yeah.
that point, do the tours, do the hospital tours. They're free. Even, and I say this, even if you are planning a home birth, just check out what the hospital looks like, because I can't tell you how many times, there's a transfer to the hospital because of high blood pressure or drop
Mm,
in fetal heart rate, or, whatever the case may be. So it's like you're stepping into a different realm. You want to, at least be a little bit prepared for that shock that can happen when you have to transfer to the hospital.
right. Okay, good point, good point. We got a few more people who have joined us. My buddy Roz, who's here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. My cousin Tony over in, I think it's Colorado. Thank you for being here. And Miss Mary Holmes, thank you for being here as well. So, again, we've been talking about prenatal and postpartum care for dads specifically as we are approaching Father's Day, but just some things that maybe we hadn't thought about as it relates to fathers to be or fathers. No, I'm on the live. Don't do that. At any rate, yes, the fathers to be and some of the things that they are challenged with. So we have Alex Williams joining us from South Florida. He says, "How often does postpartum affect men?" Good
So
question.
glad that you said that, Alex, because I think we don't truly understand or shed the light that 1 out of 10 men experience postpartum depression, and
Mm,
that is a serious thing. And I would suggest that that number is higher for our Black men, because I feel like we already, as a culture, don't necessarily nurture the fact for our men to be open and to be expressive and to be vulnerable in that way. That's why suicide rates for Black men are high. That's why the mental health of our Black men is so challenging at times, because all of that is being bottled up. So again, men experience postpartum depression as well. And just imagine if, a woman is going through a traumatic experience, or an experience where it was a scary moment, and the man feels like they aren't in control, like they can't help, like they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to express that or overcome that. I've had several couples to hire me. I wasn't their birth doula, but they wanted to hire me just for a postpartum session so
mm,
that the dad could have a safe space to talk
mm.
and just unpack all the things that he went through and what he felt. And this is, I want to express that these are Black men. These are Black men that are feeling this and want a safe place to talk about this. And so many times, of course, absolutely. And then we acknowledge the postpartum depression that as women that we go through. Um, but our men are experiencing it too, because they want to help and be there and support as well. So a lot of times I ask our dads during prenatals is, who is your support? Who has gone through this before? Who is a positive person that you can talk to as a father, when it comes to the issues during labor and delivery, or how this shifts your relationship, or postpartum, right? What intimacy looks like past 6 weeks, and how
Mm,
to prepare for that before you get there. Because, you know, as women, sometimes you hit that 6 weeks mark and you're still not ready to be intimate. And, like having that real conversation with them of, her body has changed, her hormones have changed, her emotions are there. If you're not feeling sexy, you're just not feeling intimate. But how does that make you feel? Like for real,
mm.
and giving them a space to talk about it, and nurturing that space within the relationship for them to talk about it.
No,
So with that, it's also helping our sisters on just listening, not
mhm.
correcting, and validating what they're saying, because it's quick for them to shut down, and when they shut down, everything else follows.
Listen, yeah, you don't want a man that's shut down because that's not going to be a good thing. But I think that you are bringing up some points that probably we don't realize, we don't recognize, right?
Mhm.
You said what was the statistic that you gave?
It's 1 out of 10 men in
Mm,
general. But I mean, systematically, we know that, mental health issues, just because of all the things that we carry, is higher in the Black community. So I definitely think that that rate is higher for Black men.
wow, 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 wow. Oh, so that's why it's good that we have conversations like this, right?
Yes.
To unpack some of these things and talk about it. Um,
Mhm.
so Trinetta said, "Wow," and Lanisha said, "Yes."
Yeah.
So postpartum does affect men.
Yes,
Postpartum
and I just
conversation.
wanted to highlight some of those symptoms that you can see is, being disconnected to the family, being
Mm,
disconnected to the baby,
mhm,
um, having heightened aggression or, you know, not feeling confident about themselves,
mm.
being sluggish, when it comes to going to work or a loss in appetite. Like these are real things that men go through too.
Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So this is a safe space for us to express ourselves. So I'm curious if there are any men who are fathers on the live that
Mhm.
might be willing to share if they have experienced any of the things that Sharea has talked about. If you feel comfortable sharing, please do so in the comments because I'm really curious as to if they're even aware that these are some of the things that maybe have taken place with them. Now, mind you, probably many of the men that are on here, just because I know the ones that have chimed in thus far, they are a bit a ways away from having babies. And many of them probably are on to having grandchildren. But again, for those who might be comfortable sharing, please do. Lanisha said, "How long do men go through postpartum?"
Well, postpartum, I would say for men, I think it would be similar for women. It's not just immediately after delivery. It can be up to 2, 3, sometimes 4 years um,
Mm,
after, delivery of the baby because it's not just about that experience. If you think about a woman, it's the shift in the whole environment. It's now you feel trapped. You're stuck with the baby. You're in the house. I don't feel like myself anymore. The connection with my partner is not the same. I
mhm,
don't feel good about myself anymore. Men go through that too. Right? Because if men are feeling the same symptoms as women during labor during pregnancy, a lot of that goes into eating. But we burn off those calories, and a lot of that goes away after we have the baby. With men, that doesn't. And especially if they're older, the metabolism is totally different. So,
mhm,
but that's a real thing. And then another part again, just really stressing because I think as women we don't realize that. And granted, we're going through our own healing process, is the intimacy part that comes
mhm.
up a lot. And I mean, I've had clients that are, the most conservative and, discreet on that conversation to the open of, hey, I ain't getting none. What am I, like in everything in between. And it is the same,
Hmm.
because I think as mothers, we are so hyper focused on the baby. Baby, we got to do this right, and we got to do all these things. But remembering, hey, this is a partnership. You guys are in this together,
Yep.
and you don't want to leave him out there in the wind. And I know it's hard. It's hard to manage all those things. I try to tell mothers all the time. At the end of the day, once you've cared for the basic needs of the baby, that baby is going to be fine. But you guys remain, because once the baby grows up and goes away or starts to have their own life, you don't want to say we were together for the kids.
Mhm,
And hubby and spouse is just there. I've seen it. I hear it all the time.
mhm.
So whatever I can talk about it, I'm like, listen, this is a cute nursery and this is amazing. But your husband over here has a lot to say that he's not saying.
Mhm.
About that,
That part. That part. Okay. We got my friend Susan in Virginia chiming in. Thank you for being here. Felicia said, "Would a man disclose these symptoms to any clinician?"
I think it depends on the man, right? I think we are making strides, leaps and bounds when it comes to therapy with our men, especially our Black men. I think we just need to bring more awareness as a community. It's just not about them, realizing it themselves, but it's about us realizing it. Like Nicole, you said a lot of the men on here are older, but what about their sons or their nephews or their cousins? This is happening with young men. that we help them to recognize the symptoms, to help kind of encourage them along to say, hey, maybe you should see someone, or talk to someone about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Indeed.
sometimes men are stubborn. They're like, no, I got to go to work. Like, what you mean? And point them to virtual options or telehealth options.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. So, which again is what Mindset Monday and Wellness Wednesday typically is about, is encouraging folks to get their checkup from the neck up, right?
Yeah,
Getting these things out of your head, talking to someone, identifying some new solutions to some, old problems or current problems.
for sure. For sure.
Hmm. Hmm. So we've talked about prenatal, we talked about postpartum. Um, So let's talk a little bit deeper in terms of relationship issues. I mean, we've kind of talked around it, but like what are some outside of intimacy and maybe the distance that you talked about in terms of n- not feeling close to the baby and that sort of thing. What are some other relationship issues that maybe show up?
The number one is with in laws and family.
Mm,
There is a huge strain in the dynamic in the relationship where the mother doesn't feel supported or protected by the man's family, so it's a big part of the prenatal and the coaching and the talking too. Is like I explain to new dads, like, hey, this is the first time that you are stepping up as a dad, even before the baby gets here, to
mm,
say, hey, mom, I love you, but we're doing this way. Or
mm,
like sometimes the family can be very overbearing. And I don't think men truly realize that sometimes, because they're used to the family. But as women, they're very vulnerable,
yeah.
impressionative. Everything that you say, is all this unsolicited advice, right?
Mm, mm,
Um, One of the biggest things we navigate is who's going to be there during the birth. Your mama and your sister and your auntie want to be there, and guess what? I don't want them there. And
ew.
and helping dads talk through that, because it has to happen. Like, it has to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so that, I would say, that is the biggest thing when it comes to relationships. And then, of course, the systematic separations that have already been in place in our Black community when it comes to our relationships. Um,
Mm,
that just is something that is just stemlined, unfortunately, that we have to address in order to combat.
mhm. Indeed. Lanisha said I was gonna mention too many involved. Everyone has an opinion about how to care for the baby.
Yes. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we want that support, but in a structured way. So during the prenatal visit, we prepare for postpartum. And so one of the things I go over is, what does your postpartum plan look like in your postpartum support? So if you say, my mom wants to come help, in her mind, it may be, oh, I want to come over and hold the baby. No, I need you actually to help with these dishes, or to help with the laundry. Or it may not be coming over to the house right away, because we need to have time with the baby and
Mm.
we want to just be in our space. So helping to build that confidence in him so that he can have those conversations.
So you mentioned a couple of things I wanna throw out to the viewers to see if you all are familiar with. Have you heard of a prenatal plan? Have you heard of a postpartum plan? Let us know in the comments. I'm curious.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with those? Because I have not heard those terms before. Well, before talking to Miss Jenkins, but and I mean I had my son some 31 years ago. I don't even know if that even existed then. I just don't recall that being something that, you did. All right, Lanisha said yes. All right. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Marjorie said no. Marjorie also had a comment. So while others are chiming in, she said the lack of sleep makes it so hard to communicate effectively or care.
Mhm.
Therapy should be pushed more after having a baby. It was not even something discussed after I had a child. Complete difference between doula care and the hospital.
Mhm.
Agreed.
so many times it's like after the hospital is like, I mean, we can talk all day about the assembly line of the hospital. And I've had great experience in the hospital. I've worked with great providers, but the thing is, get the baby out. All right, good. Thank you. Have a nice day. Right. Like it should be standard that, for one, it's like you have 12 visits, prenatal visits, and then you have one postpartum visit in 6 weeks. You know how many issues arise in the first week?
Mm,
Like issues, preeclampsia. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it should be standard that therapy is given to all families after labor and delivery. But I mean, if you have that doula, it's great that you have a doula because you have someone to talk to and express those things to. I know with my mamas, I'm like, what's going on? You all right? You good? How you feeling? It's
mhm.
3 a.m. I know you're up. What's going on?
That check in.
Check in.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. So we are at about halfway through. So for those who may be just joining us, we are talking prenatal and postpartum care for dads with my guest, Doula, Sharea Jenkins. And so we've been talking around, some of the issues that arise through relationships with not only the mom to be or the new mom, but also with the in-laws and, just some feelings that dads may be experiencing and the importance of having structured support, the importance of having therapy post labor and delivery. Marjorie had a comment. She said, the questions for the mother specifically at the hospital are overwhelming. No
Mhm.
questions are directed to dad. You get no sleep as nurses are in and out.
Yeah.
When you get home, it's the same. It feels like you're drowning.
Yes. And unfortunately, I see that so many times with hospital births because, exactly what Marjorie said, the nurses are in like every 15, 20 minutes, not just to check on the mom, but to check on the baby.
Mm,
Dad is knocked out or asleep or whatnot. And then, of course, if you're breastfeeding, you're trying to establish that latch and all the things like that. And again, it comes with the preparation and the prenatal support
mhm,
to encourage dads that they can answer these questions and build that confidence in them for them to chime in. I mean, one of the blessings that I've seen, again, as a doula is, our Black men who have come in, and they're like, talk to me, I'm here, like I'll step up, I
mm,
can answer that. She needs to rest, or, they're fine. You don't have to come in right now. You can come back, and I think we have to understand it's okay to say that. I
yeah.
tell everyone that everyone on your birthing team is hired. Everyone gets a billing code. So that
Mhm,
means that we all work for y'all.
right.
So it's okay to say one moment. It's okay to say we need a new nurse. It's okay
Mhm,
to say I've had, families switch physicians in the middle of labor. Like dads go to, I tell dads, you can go to the charge nurse. As a doula, there's boundaries that of things that I don't necessarily say, but I
mhm.
definitely encourage my dads to. So I'm like,
Gotcha.
you go do it. Go get them.
You said quite a bit that, again, I don't know if our viewers are aware of in terms of the amount of power and say that you have during this very important life experience,
Oh yeah.
right? Especially if you don't think, feel that you are being treated in a respectable, humane, um, professional manner, right?
I feel this very strongly, and I have clients of all backgrounds, cultures, races, all the things, but it's just like our criminal justice system. You should not be stepping into a hospital without support. Period.
Mm,
Like this is systematic, y'all. Like this is not something that just developed yesterday.
mhm.
So it's like we know these rates. Like I don't think it's like a full understanding of like right now on the March of Dimes for Leon County, our mortality rate is still a D.
Oh,
A
wow.
D. mortality rate for Florida is a D. Our
Mm,
our birth rates for our babies is still a D. Like I think we it's so far removed in our minds, like, we're gonna be fine. We'll pack the birth bag. We'll no. Like I've had clients, black and white, who've had the same nurse, the same doctor, be treated totally different. And before I get in the room, then it's some checking going on,
mm,
But again, that's where it's the building of the encouragement of the dads, because if you can't get a doula or hire, at least a virtual support, you're training dad to be the doula. Like
mm.
he is the doula there.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't want mama and grandma and everyone there. You want that intimacy there. And sometimes dads don't want everyone there because they don't want to be told what to do in the labor room, in the L&D room, So it's kind of like when it goes to discipline, that comes up too sometimes.
mm-hmm.
It's like when you tell a dad, no, don't change that way. Don't change the diaper that way. Don't birth that way. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're slowly telling the dad, okay, fine. I don't want to do nothing, So it's the same thing when it comes to labor and delivery. The more that you're encouraging him and giving him the tools, the more powerful he's going to feel when it's time to step up. And then, I mean, and stepping up in a non-aggressive way,
Mm-hmm.
as Black people in general, because you raise your voice and now you are aggressive,
Right,
so,
right,
but you're teaching them how to work this environment so that it is effective. Again, knowing who to go to, the charge nurse,
right.
knowing what questions to ask,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know if it's not emergent, you don't have to make a decision right away. Like you can take the time to think about it.
Mm.
um, so those are the things that are just so important to understand.
Yeah, that advocacy is very, very important. So like you said, knowing who to go to, knowing the questions to ask, all of that coaching is very important. So we have a few more people that have joined us. I see you, Miss Connie. Thank you for being here. Miss Deanna, thank you for being here. And Mr. Warren Cave, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. All right, so I'm gonna get your question, Felicia. But Trinetta said that's why it's important to have a doula that advocates for the parents, like Sharea does. A lot of people don't have that or know that they have a say. Yes.
For sure.
So Felicia wants to know what training is required to become a doula.
Well, there's several different trainings. It totally depends on what organization you go to and what route you want to go through. I mean, they have um, training that is more home birth based. You have training that is a combination of home birth and hospital based. But I would say the standard, I'll just blanket it, the standard training. And during that time, you have to read a certain amount of literature and studies. Doing research, you have to attend a certain amount of births. Like I had to get references from the doctors from the births that I attended. You learn skills on how to take notes and charting, and of course you're taking CPR and HIPAA training, because even as a doula, there's HIPAA training in that, knowing when and what to post and what not to post. How to secure documents, financial literacy is a big one when you're collecting payments and things like that. So that is some of the things that come into the training, but there's so many different trainings now, especially before like when I started. So yeah.
Gotcha. So it's expanded some, but those are
Mhm.
kind of the basic things. All right. Yeah, Felicia says she has two daughters. When or if they choose to have children, I want them to have this information.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts now. You
Yeah.
know, there's we can't expect our children to evolve into nurturing and supporting family units if it's not ingrained in them now. Like you have doulas and physicians on TikTok. The kids are on TikTok all day. Like my kids, I mean, they have a doula as a mom, but they know a lot about labor and delivery and breastfeeding. I mean, my son, you know, talking about our men, right? It starts with our sons. And again, that's systematic
Yep.
too. Where it's like, you know, we're not supposed to show sensitivity or, in that way. But when does it click for them to be nurturing? Like, when does
Right.
it click for them to be soft and gentle, masculine and soft and gentle to our women and to our children, and to
Mm,
be, effective listeners and to be compassionate? Like,
yep.
that comes from the now, getting them involved in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Not shying away from talk. And I know this is a whole thing, but not shying away from reproduction or how beautiful breastfeeding is, and not sexualizing it, but like really giving the understanding of what that's like, especially for our boys,
Yeah.
so that they can have that ingrained in them, so that they have a sensitivity and an understanding to that, when they're not just interacting with their mothers, but their aunties. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my son is my sister's biggest fan, and he, loves his niece and nephew, and respects, her breastfeeding journey and everything. So it starts now.
It does. No, very, very good points around having, those conversations and that type of exposure with our boys who grow up to be men and fathers, right?
Yes.
So Marjorie says, do you believe that the hospital methods of forcing baby on the mother primarily affects the connection between dad and baby? I've heard the first few moments after the birth is so important for skin to skin contact, etc., to build the connection. They barely allowed dad to hold the baby the entire hospital stay. So it was awkward when we arrived home. Mm.
So that great point, Marge. You coming with them? These are some good
Marjorie always,
questions. These
he
are some.
always comes with it. Always.
So that is a two-pronged answer, right? So, as a lactation consultant, like, it is important, very, very important, especially in those first 2 hours. We call them those golden hours for skin to skin with mom. And that is why, when moms have C-sections, or if there's complications and there was a gap of time with that golden hour with the babies, that there is sometimes a lag when it comes to latching, or when it comes to nursing with newborns. But of course, it can be established, over time. Now, it is. With that being said, it is also important for dads to hold the baby and to have skin to skin. But it is absolutely true, within those first few hours while you're trying to establish breastfeeding, that baby should be right here, on you. Of course, when you're sleeping or resting, dad is, number two, right there having the baby. But in order to establish, again, the breastfeeding, and to, get that colostrum to come in, and to promote milk production, that is why the skin to skin is really important.
Okay. Very good. Great questions. So, wow. I mean, again, we have really talked about a whole lot: relationships issues, masculinity as nurturing and not just, hard and strong,
Mhm.
uh, postpartum depression for men, and support from the in-laws and other family members, but it being structured and something that the mom is good with it and the dad is good with as well, right? So
Yeah.
talking through all of that.
It has to be talked through, because it's not something that you can assume.
Mhm.
Um, as it's like, I'm telling you, it is the number one question of, how do we navigate these in-laws, or how do we navigate the family?
Mhm.
Just like the comment said, it's like they're overly helping, or they're so excited that sometimes they're trying to overshadow the dad. So it's our jobs as women too, to be like, hey, just give us a minute, or
Right.
because in those early days, dad is building, that man is building his confidence as a dad,
Mhm.
right? And I think sometimes as mama bears, it's like we do it our way and that's the right way. But he'll never build his confidence if we don't let the baby cry with him.
Yep.
Or if mama, and auntie doesn't step in or give their advice, like he has to find his way on how to support and nurture his baby.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right, so I'm hoping you all are getting all of this, and this is helping in some way, shape, or form, and giving you some food for thought. Especially for maybe those of you who may serve now as mother-in-laws or father-in-laws, or that sort of thing. Woo, excuse me, or grandparents. Um, you know, maybe do it a little differently than what was done to you. So with some of these new thoughts and ideas that are being presented here today, and definitely try as much as possible to get dad involved, right?
For sure. The
Mm-hmm.
more he's involved, the more that connection is built. Um, you know, so many times we hear, well, dad was the provider, but he wasn't, connected to us emotionally. Um, a lot of times these are the reasons why. So in order to change that, we have to change the thought.
Yeah, the thought and the feelings and the behaviors, right? That cognitive triangle. It starts with the thought, because those thoughts translate into feelings or
Mhm.
emotions, which translate into behaviors or actions. And so, if we want a different result, we got to do something different. We got to think about it from a different way, in a different way, from a different perspective.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
and validating all that in our men, because if we want our family units to change, we have to change the perspective of our men and their involvement, in labor and delivery, during prenatal and postpartum. Like if the family structure is an issue, then we have to realize, and this is going into roles and everything like that, but um our men need the support. Like we need to reestablish that, because again, it's been systematically broken.
Mhm. It has been systematically broken, and we are trying to reverse this.
Hmm.
Hmm. And try to restore the family.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Of course, being a doula is it's beautiful to see the labor part, the endurance part, and of course the birth part, but it is a blessing how many times I have seen, this man and this woman grow into parents. Like I can't tell you how many times I've literally tried to hold back tears when I see a father who's like, no, I don't want to see nothing. And he's right there holding that leg, or he's cutting the cord, or he's catching the baby,
Mm,
or how gentle and soft he is, with that woman. And, again, these are our brothers.
right.
Like I think it needs to be shown to the light that our black men fathers are doing this and they want to do this. They just
Mhm.
don't necessarily know how. So when it comes to that, I just want to highlight also that a lot of the prenatal classes are geared towards women.
Mhm.
And they're honestly boring for men, and then sometimes the approach of giving a man a stack of books to read is not the best way.
Not gonna get it. Mm-mm.
I say this: if you can go on YouTube and five top short videos, 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
Mhm.
to and have a topic of the night. Let's talk about this in the bed. What did you think about this? Going over the basics of anatomy.
Yeah.
So many men I've found during the prenatal classes that I taught are they want to understand the why of how the baby descends or what's going on behind the contraction. And if you can show him that, it helps him with supporting,
Yeah.
because you flip over to the labor side and a mom's been laboring 15, 16 hours. In his mind, he's like, where's the baby? Why is the baby not here? But if
Right.
he knows the mechanics behind that, he understands why those hips need to shift, or he understands why it's taking so long because that slow stretch is happening. And so he's more supportive,
Yeah.
because what a man says during labor and delivery is more effective than what a doctor can say. So if a
Mhm.
man is saying, what's the problem? What's
Mm.
taking so long? Or why isn't the baby here yet? Or you need to try harder. You know, if we can help with helping them to understand what's happening when a mom is laboring and all the stuff she has learned, a lot of that's out the door because she's contracting, he can be the support.
Gotcha. No, very good point. So, I think as you've stated about these videos, helping him to understand the anatomy, the process. I think also eliminating the fear factor, because I think a lot of men are just kind of fearful because they don't want to hurt anything. They're, again, uncomfortable with certain aspects of labor and delivery. They
Mhm.
just kind of back and be like, just let me know when it's when it's over, or
Right.
like you
Where do I
said,
stand?
yeah,
I don't wanna be in the way, And I'm like, "No, you're not in the way. No,
yeah,
let me get out your way.
right,
Okay, here
right,
you go."
for sure, for sure, for sure. So again, hopefully this is a beginning of a conversation that can extend beyond this time, this space that we have right here. And hopefully those of you might be watching the replay will, take take heed to some of the things that have been mentioned here during this broadcast, because again, great information. I think it's new in terms of the inclusion of the dads, and just making them um, feel a more a part of this process, because it took them the for this to even happen, right?
Right, right, right. The more we make them feel included, like we can't think that men are automatically gonna just like snap in, like when the baby gets like 6 months, like, oh, okay, now they're ready, like helping them be more comfortable with the newborn phase as well.
Exactly.
And, I know we talked a lot about, postpartum and prenatal support with men, but men play a huge part when it comes to breastfeeding support too. So
Hmm.
that's why when we go over breastfeeding with my mom, is like we are all going over it. Like I'm showing him what a latch looks like, or what hunger cues look like. Because, like for instance, I do a lot of postpartum and overnight postpartum and helping with newborns and things like that. And um, sometimes it comes out where I just, moms are venting. They're like, I feel the stress from my husband, or things that he's saying. And it's like when you help him understand what breastfeeding is truly about and the challenges that could happen or how to get support, that helps her feel more empowered as well. Or
Yes.
I told her dad the other day, it would be good to tell your wife thank you for this sacrifice that she's
Hmm.
doing for the family, you know. And they're like, "Oh, I never thought about that." I'm like, "Don't worry, I got you."
Yes, 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 yes. Wow. Again, all really great information. And again, I hope that the viewers are benefiting from them, because I am. I have a whole page of notes here that from our discussion tonight. So, and I definitely will be passing this on to the new fathers, young fathers, fathers that just need this information, and the mamas too,
For
and the
sure.
mamas too. So as we get ready to wrap up our conversation, I want to give you an opportunity to give us some last words and tell folks how they can connect with you.
Let's see. Last words is, build a foundation and a space for communication. that is the biggest part of it. Like Marjorie said, lack of sleep is real. I always say have grace for each other. Like remember that this phase is temporary, and remember that you guys are the family unit. The babies are the add-ons. They're the frosting of the cake, but you guys are the family unit. As far as reaching out to me, you can reach out to me on supportinghandsdoulacare.com. That is my website. I actually offer a virtual prenatal class specifically for men. And we do group sessions and individual sessions. So if you know of a dad who needs prenatal classes or, doula training one-on-one, they are more than welcome to join. I have a email is shdoula850@gmail.com. And then you can also follow me on Supporting Hands Doula Care on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. Nice, nice. So y'all, she got virtual classes.
Mhm.
So you don't even have to be in a particular place or
Mhm.
space in terms of going somewhere. You could do it from the comfort of your own home. Okay.
Yes.
So take advantage of what Miss Jenkins is offering over here, because I again have never seen anything like this. I really haven't. You know,
Just filling in the gaps. You got to fill in the
mhm.
gaps.
Indeed, indeed, you are doing a great job. So I hope you all have benefited. I mean, I've said that a few times tonight. If this has been great or beneficial in some way, if you learned something, let us know in the comments. I think Lanisha is saying love it. Yes, I love it too. Appreciate you. Let us know. And we want you to share this with other people. Amazing conversation and great information. Thank you, Marjorie. Appreciate you. Yeah, no, this has been eye opening in many regards. So, again, any new dads, any reoccurring dads who may not have got it from previous births, share this with them. Tell them to, get involved and, recognize that they have a very important job, and that
Mhm.
they should not be standing around talking about they don't want to get in the way. No, get in there.
Get in there.
Yeah, get in there. Get in the game.
That's your way. That's your path.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We are encouraging that. So please share this. Let's keep this conversation going. Again, Sharea's information is on the screen. So take it down and definitely reach out and support what she's doing. All right. So as we are getting ready to wrap up, we want to extend a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Happy
Uh,
Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Shout out to y'all. We appreciate you. We need you. We love you. And we support you. We support you. We support you. And then I also got to mention Conversations with Nicole. Just invite you all to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on IG, on Facebook. We do live broadcasts on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. And the focus is on mental health and wellness, particularly in Black and Brown communities, trying to eliminate the stigma and encourage folks to get their checkup from the neck up. So,
Mhm.
yes. So, yeah, treat the fathers good this weekend. Let them
Love
know
on them.
yes, love on them. Let them know that they are important, they are kind, they are special, they are loved, and that we
Mhm.
need them. All right. And even if it's not a biological father, the surrogates, the steps, we need them. So
Yes.
love on them, love on them, love on them. Yes. All right, good people. We are going to sign out, but thank you again for joining us, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.